Alan Ryder, Southeastern Railway Museum. And today we're going to take a look at something a little bit different for a change. This is our shop truck. It's a 1971 Ford F250, and believe it or not, it was donated to us, as I understand, way back when, so we acquired it new. And it's had a kind of a hard life, but it still runs most of the time, and I'll give you a quick tour. So here it is in all its glory. This truck was built when people bought trucks to haul stuff and use them for heavy hauling and not really for an ego trip. And this thing is made for just that. Bare bones with, I would call it a not necessarily pristine interior. Still runs, again, most of the time. And it's got 3 pedals and 4-speed manual transmission. And transmission is what they call a 4-speed with a granny gear. So the first gear is really slow, so if you need to pull out stumps, haul a heavy trailer, that's what you start with. And bucket seats, which probably came from something else. Lovely paint patina. People actually pay money for paint like this. And it's had some customization of the rear end. It's got a steel piece of diamond plate for the floor, which is a common modification. Some point or another the tailgate was replaced, and that tailgate is like 3/8 inch or maybe 1/4 inch steel sheet, and it's probably heavier than some new cars today complete. So walk around to the other side. And we open its mouth, and it's got a Ford 390 V8, lots and lots of power, guzzles gas like there's no tomorrow, but for our purposes it really doesn't matter. We haven't used this truck out on the highway for quite some time, not because we couldn't, but because the insurance, if we decided to license it and take it out on the highway, the museum's insurance would just go out of sight. So economically it doesn't make sense. So you ask, well, why is he doing a video on this truck? And well, it won't start. And that's happened before, and usually it's the carburetor. Carburetor's been rebuilt 3 or 4 times. And probably a lot of the reason the carburetor has issues is people tend to run it out of gas, and so that sucks up crud, crap, and whatever into the carburetor. So, but that's not the problem this time. This time, it appears to have an ignition problem, and then it's an intermittent one. First we have spark, and then we don't, and then we do, and then we don't. So we'll get into that. And there's tons of videos about how these old ignition systems work. It's the classic points and condenser and coil. And just a real quick explanation. The coil here doesn't like change. So that's typical of a coil. It has 2 windings inside of it. One's a low voltage and one's the high voltage. And so what happens is when the points are closed, 12 volts charges up the coil. When the points open, the coil gets all mad and discharges pretty high voltage, and that's what gives you your spark. So that goes through the points in the condenser, points in the distributor. The condenser helps smooth things off. I don't exactly know what it does, but you got to have it. So we're going to get into it and figure out what's going on. So I've got my test light on the wire that comes out of the coil and goes to the points. And it appears that it's working correctly. When you turn the ignition on and start cranking, the light comes on and goes off as the points open and close. So that doesn't appear to be the problem. I've got my timing light hooked up. I've got it hooked to the primary wire to the distributor because all I really want to do is find out if it's got spark. Another nice thing about Fords is that they have a starter relay right there where it's really easy to hook up a remote start switch. So let's see what happens. Well, not only have we got spark, it nearly started. Interesting. Go figure. The mystery is still present. Let's go ahead and see if we can get her to light off. Take that off. Put this back on. Very interesting. Well, not altogether sure what the noise is. Doesn't appear to be an exhaust leak like I said before. I disconnected the belt for the alternator and the water pump, fired it up. Didn't make any difference. So sounds like it's toward the front of the engine. Could be a lifter, valve or something or other like that. Could be a timing chain. Not particularly good. We're going to call it at that. Leave her to go. Well, I'm back here looking at our shop truck again. I did some research on the all-knowing, all-seeing internet and concluded that most likely had a lifter stuck on this baby. So came prepared, got a little mechanic stethoscope, all that other good stuff, and lo and behold, first she started right up. Probably got a sticky ignition switch, but this time she started up and no noise. Purring like an arthritic kitten. Who knows? But she's good now. Not too bad for a 51-year-old machine that's been used and abused. Well, it's been a month now, more or less, since the last part of this video, and truck's been running fine. In fact, it's cold, it's late December, and I came out and fired right up. She's a purring right now. So, don't exactly know what's wrong, or what was wrong. It's your typical mechanic's nightmare. Car comes in with an intermittent problem, and you can't find it because it works perfectly. Take it away and then it misbehaves again. So, few theories. First one's not a theory. The knock that we heard, or I heard, was almost certainly a valve lifter stuck, because when I came back on the second round and fired it up, It wasn't on video, but it ticked for just a second and then smoothed out as soon as oil pressure came up. So again, she's running fine now. She ran fine, no noises when she started up this afternoon. As far as the no start before that, a couple of theories. One is suspect the ignition switch might be going out, so every so often doesn't make contact and give power to the coil, so no ignition, no spark, no start. That's one theory. The other theory is that she's always had some trouble with the carburetor and she's prone to flooding, and it may very well be that it got flooded real bad and took quite a while before it cleared out, and then she started up. Don't know for sure. Sooner or later, it'll probably misbehave again and we'll find out. So this thing is what I would call an accidental artifact. It's actually older than some of our equipment. We've got a SD45-2 locomotive that was built the year after this thing. We've got a recently acquired MARTA heavy rail car that was built about 1975. So it's become almost part of our collection. And not only that, but these older Fords are very popular among the car collectors. They like to do all kinds of fancy restorations and stuff. And it's got the most desirable, or one of the more desirable engines, with the big block Ford 390 V8. So very interesting that we accidentally have a classic. Who would have thought? Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.